Dum, dum, dum. Mm-hmm. Let's hopefully this works. I don't normally stream from this computer very often. Normally I do pre-recordings here. So I might wait and see if people turn up before I start doing too much. Dum, 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 dum. Hey, Station 240. Let's see. Flex. Dum, dum. Yeah. Okay, we got people turning up. Alright, first thing you can do is tell me, is the audio level acceptable as it is? I'm talking now. Do you need to go up or down? And you'll have to also put up with me drinking coffee. Hey, from the ashes. And it's Pianov. You're going to get an inside look on things, Pianov. I don't know how much of the code you'll recognize from before. I've got to get serious here. I've got to take off the flannelette shirt. Audio is a bit quiet as always. I think a lot of the problem is actually it's more my voice. Everyone else is asleep. The cats are asleep, and I'm just trying to keep it a little bit low. Let me tweak it up a little. Up, up, up. So hopefully I don't mangle this. Okay, is that any better? Central Illinois. Oh, Donald. Greg. You know, it was only about a year ago I realised that Illinois was pronounced Illinois. I don't think I can remember how I used to pronounce it. Okay, how's that audio? Is that a bit better? I don't want to push it up too high. I'm going to start clipping. Hey, Joshua. Oh, man. Now I can't even get my screwdriver back in. Alright. See if I can't push it up a little in the open broadcaster. Filters. Add a filter. Gain. Okay, close. Okay, that's a 3 dB gain. That hopefully should help. I don't think I really want to go beyond 3 dB. Slightly devious electric bike kit off AliExpress. Yeah, it'll be fun. I gotta say, the acceleration on that one of Lewis's is pretty good. Alright. Anyway, let's get into it. Okay, well, this is FlexBV obviously. And what I'm trying to do is I've been working on the jobs features and the annotations and things like that. Okay, so this is what it looks like when it comes up now with all the jobs, annotations. So at the moment, the annotations stick with the board, job items stick with the job. So the two of them come together, and you get what you can see there. So I can say, at this point, saying that this pin was missing, and I did a replacement or whatever. But at the same time, I can have annotations that tell me what I should be looking for on, like G3 hot. And that's all fine. Everything's finally fixed up there, looking how I want. But I figured one thing that comes up quite often is with PDFs, you tend to scan through them a lot, trying to find the page that you wanted. You forget what number it is, things like that. So what I'm going to do tonight, hopefully, I shouldn't say tonight, it's actually morning, it's 25 past midnight, is add a favorites page for PDFs. Alright, so I've already been doing a little bit of work here. It's like I wanted to first be able to make FlexBoard View talk to the PDF viewer and say go to a particular page. Like say I just made it jump to page 13, and then I should be able to jump to another random page and it tells me what page it is. So the communication is now working. So the next step for this is for me to create an interface that will let me set a favorite. Alright, and this is where it becomes fun. So what we're going to need is a dialog to come up that will let us set it. I don't really have an existing one to copy from, so I'm going to, at least not a simple one, so I'm going to have to create something new. Let's see. Not found? Of course not. What is going on here? Oh, Pianov, if you're still there, you'll notice I've got all my split files now. And this is the user interface board view file, and what do we get? 3000, yeah. So it didn't last very long, me cutting it down. It just blew out pretty damn quick. Okay, info, panel. Job detail. Okay. I've got cap locks on somewhere, have I? No. Hey, Tony Nash. Oh, where are you? Are you holidaying at home, or are you out and about somewhere else in the world? Let's cheat. Yank 7. Looking forward to the jobs feature. Had a board of spotty liquid damage bench. Would have been perfect for that job. Oh, it shouldn't be too far away. I probably could have released it already, but I wanted to sort of really put a lot more meat into the next release. Pianov, yeah, I've also got the rendering. The rendering engine is the other big one. So like the board view render. And yeah, so I mean that's almost at 2000 now. What else do we have? Also had the board view utilities. You're right, the utilities was pretty much nothing. What else was there? So yeah, it was really user interface, rendering, utilities, and then of course board view itself, which is all the other stuff that I haven't decided where exactly I'm going to put that. What's that? 1300. So yeah, if that was all still in the one file, that'd be pretty crazy in size. Hey Cryjo, we're in Tenerife. I don't know, is that how you pronounce it? Had our first submarine trip today. Oh, what sort of submarine was it? Was it glass ones that you can see out of, or what? This is why coding while on live chat is so difficult. PDF favorite. random chew up string, why not? Hey, WT Nap, Indiana. Alright. There's a lot of sort of core skeletal structure that I've got to put into this. That's the same for everything. Pardon me. This is just stuff that's got to happen with the way the user interface toolkit works. It's a bit of a different way of doing user interfaces. This immediate mode GUI stuff. It is different from event-driven things like Qt or GTK. Once you get used to it, it's not too bad. There are performance penalties for it, but really, it's not a major issue. Hey, Rave TCO. How far along are you with the jobs feature now, Tony Nash? Well, the jobs feature actually is fully functional that I can tell. There might be some minor edges I got to fix up, but overall it seems to be working. I just simply have to put it through a few trials myself on my own boards, and if I'm happy with how that comes out, then I'll probably push it out. Let's see. Tooltips enables false. Tooltips are things that when you hover your mouse over the board like that, the little like L7130 that pops up, that sort of thing, you have to disable them when you go into a dialog. Well, you don't have to disable them, but it looks weird if you don't, because what will happen is when you move your mouse over where there would be a part, the tooltip will come up, so that's why you got to turn the tooltips off. Hey Q's, just working on a new feature that I might get. Normally this will probably take 2 hours to do, so who knows how long it's going to take to do it when I'm chatting. Okay. No, not sure that's going to be required. Okay. The clear theme? Oh, you mean the light theme? Yeah, normally I do for myself personally, but it seems like everybody likes the dark theme. I feel like I'm a bit left out. But so I thought while it's on streaming I might do a dark theme. We were using camel case name convention class, so I thought you might get rid of the... Oh, you know, going back to the standards and things like that. That'll be something I'll probably do after everything's done. Have a bad habit of going through and just free-flowing with it and then going back and changing everything to how it should be. It's a bad habit, I know. Yeah, I've been with the hyphens. For some reason I've always hated underscores in file names. Yep, legacy issues. Yeah, let's see. Input text, title. And I do this so that I can cheat. I'd rather be doing C++ than web dev ginger. Yeah, I'd rather be doing plain ANSI C, but this is C++, and I'm going to have to do it. On the upside, I do like using vectors and strings a fair bit now. So, it's only taken 2 years for me to get used to them. Oh, hang on, I've got a cough. You really don't want to code like me. I code like a deranged lunatic. There's a very good reason why I code for myself, because if I was in a corporation and I had to adhere to standards and things like that, then I probably would get fired pretty quickly. So don't code like me. Yeah, Pen, I've actually, well, that's good to hear about, you like lighter themes, because I'm the same. I find the dark themes a little bit too dark. That said, my Vim themes I do like on the darker side for some reason. This is, I'm not sure which theme this is. I've forgotten. And I am using dark blue. Yeah, I don't standardize my code. The only way a standard gets into my code is if, when it's all finished, I put a code formatter over it, and then I go along and do search replace to clean everything up. That's all clean up stuff at the end. This is why people don't like working with me too. Poor Pilnov had a heart attack probably when I submitted a huge lump of code, and it was not pretty. And he managed to pull it together and incorporate it into the Open Board View mainstream, which was pretty amazing. I really didn't think he was going to do it. I thought he was going to print it all out, then throw petrol in it and light it on fire. Let's see, if we want to add this, let's see, first I've got to compose what I want. This, however, has to be done as a char. Hey, Mark. I didn't see you there almost. Sometimes I gotta think. And I do dirty things like this. Oh, g'day, Mr. Baileyism. The weather is actually pretty warm. I'm slightly, just ever so slightly, running a bit of a surface sweat. It has been an atrocious winter, as in it. We haven't had a winter. I think there was a weekend where I put on a jacket, and that was it. It makes me fear what summer's going to be like. We are trying to distract you. Yes, Linux Wolfie, you are doing a very good job of that. Come on, Paul, think. Two degrees in Victoria, cold hours. No, yeah, for a bad heater, that a bad house. That's gonna be. It's kind of like up here in summer when, as you can see, this is a solid block house, and there was no insulation in the ceiling, and it's a low pitch ceiling, so there's no real air gap up there. The first couple of summers I spent in here, it was just ludicrous. We'd put the air conditioners on, and it just still would not cool down. So when I finally got to look in the bricks of this, they're just solid, and there's no insulation anywhere. And so it's a single skin wall, but it's 220 mil thick solid concrete, basically. And during the summer, the sun obviously would just bake up the block, and so all night it would re-radiate that back out, and the air conditioner just barely could keep up. And even when it was cold in the air, you'd feel that heat on your skin. You'd feel the infrared. So finally, I got the insulation in the roof, and that helps a bit, but it's still a bit of a disaster house. It needs to have cladding put all around it, things like that. But I'm dropping that as a potato. It's a hot potato house, and I'm planning on moving somewhere else. I've got a nice 12 by 12 shed lined up. I'm moving to that. I have my chances better there. Can't wait for voltage values comes out in the board views. Yeah, integrating with multimeters, that'll be another thing to do. Alright, you people are distracting. I don't know how Lewis gets any work done. Okay, well, there's no point having that. If I'm going to... That's gonna bite me later. Oh well. Rave TCO, talking about integrating your multimeters. Yes, the idea is we'll at some point get a selection of meters that we can then directly interface into or read the data off with the board view software. And the only trick I'm trying to solve in my head is that when you've got two hands on the probes on the board, how are you going to signal when you want the board view to take that value? So I'm thinking, maybe a foot switch or something like that. No, I can't think of many other ways. I suppose you could do an audio signal like a chirp, but foot switch seems to be the most sensible one for the moment. You could try go for a stable value point, like take an average over a few seconds, but I think that will probably be more trouble than not. So yeah, if anyone come up with something better than a foot switch, let me know. Alright. Steal some code, do it the dirty way. Dum, dum, dum. It's dirty because I should have yanked the lines rather than select and paste. I've got a brace missing there somewhere. What are you for? Switch on custom probes. I was thinking of that. Yeah, but then you've sort of, where's that going to go? I suppose you have to have a wireless. I mean, you could do a wireless thing. Maybe you could have a wireless finger contraption and just tap or whatever. I think doing custom probes would probably send me broke. Alright. Does this MacBook Pros still go for 360 quid a piece? Yeah, I've been trying to get some MacBook Airs, some 1466s, or 3437 or 00165s, and I just keep getting outbid all the time. I'm putting like 150, 200 on them, and these are for dead ones, and people are just outbidding me all the time. I want one for a screen. I need a A1502 screen and I need a 1466 screen. I've got 1395 or something like that. One of the earlier MacBook Air ones, and that it doesn't match with the 3437 or the 165s. So I need those two screens so I can do more testing. But yeah, everyone keeps outbidding me. So I'm going to have to start just hunting people around here locally who don't know about eBay and snaring them. Have a record button on screen, have an average. Yeah, I was kind of weighing up for that, but I'm thinking it's going to end up with a lot of... you're going to end up with a lot of cases where you end up capturing the wrong sort of values. I really think it needs to be something you can precisely time. Particularly if you've got something that's waning in and out, all over the place. You want to be able to just nail it when it's right. Is it really economical to spend 200? Yes, it is, because if you go look at the cost of a 1502 or 1466 screen, they're like $380 to $500 a piece. So yeah, it's economical to spend $200 on a dead MacBook just to get the screen. Anything else that comes with it that works is a bonus. Who don't know about eBay? More a case of who doesn't think to put their dead MacBook on eBay. So for that sort of thing, being in this country town is kind of useful. Personally, I blame the likes of Lewis for making MacBook repair so popular. I mean, I was totally no, I wasn't into it until Lewis started doing it. In fact, the only reason I found Lewis was because someone came to me with a what was it? A202936 or something like that. One of the early ones. Things like the 3115. And it just had a one wire fault. And yeah, I was trying to fix that thing. I didn't have a microscope, I didn't have anything at that time. All I had was basically, the desktop magnifying glass at that point. I still managed to do it, and with a piece of the old style soldering iron. I did have hot air, but it was a horrifically bad hot air. It was like a rebuilt machine made out of washing machine parts or something. I don't know. And they sell these things new at the local, one of the local chains called J Car. And they sell them new, and they look all flashy on the outside, but you open them up and you look at the controller boards, and the controller boards have been reworked. They've got broken resistors and bodge wires everywhere. I'm amazed I didn't die. But yeah, so anyway, that was how I ended up finding Lewis. I'm not really a person who likes getting into other videos, on YouTube, following people, but because Lewis had a good audio setup and he was pretty amusing with his how not to do a SMC reball, it sort of caught me from there. Oh, I'm getting nowhere with this. You people are like this is like a cubicle environment at an office. And there's no way you can program in cubicle offices. I don't know how people do it. Yeah. Yeah, now I've got to create all the variables that I've thought about creating here. This will be fun. PDF fat title. This is going to be a bodge. Hooray for bodges. That really does not need to be that size. I should actually make that an integer. Making an integer pool. Most of my coding is very iterative like this. I tend to go over things, refine. I do not... The proper way we're taught at university is that you sit down, you have a plan of what you're doing, and then when you have an idea of what you're doing, what your requirements are, you then write out your specifications, then you write out your module, and you do all sort of things, and the coding is the very last thing you do. And then you get out into the real world and find it just doesn't pan out like that. No, you'll spend 3 years on paper before you start coding, and you may end up actually with a far better program, but ain't got time for that. People overpay on those eBay auctions. Reminds me of Lewis's video about a guy saying he just received a shipment from his source. Oh, I don't remember that video. Damn it, I'm missing a lot of Lewis's videos. Hey, Wayne Taylor. Yes, Christian Iverson, I am an Australian. I'm up here in North Queensland. Yes, I know, Pianov. I know you're saying use standard string. I was waiting for you to start moaning about that. Give me a break. I'll get to it in a bit. This is how I do it. I do it so I can get it out quick, and then I go back and change it to standard strings. But when I'm trying to just produce code and features, I go back to old behavior, and then I come back and I improve it. Don't worry, you'll get your standard strings. Look, I've got standard strings everywhere else. Oh look, there's your code. That's your spell corrector code. You will be happy though that the pair stuff, look, they're all standard. Look, strings. See, be happy. I'm doing it that way. I'm getting distracted. This is supposed to be a very quick, simple feature. Yeah. My ass. Okay. Should be a favorite. And the other thing I've got to ratify is all this M prefix stuff that's completely gone out of control. Yeah, the reason why I'm going back to strings at the moment is because when I push it through the input text, and so I've got to deal with it as a string there. I mean, not as a string, as a char buffer. So, but yeah, I mean, I know you're right. It's just a case of this is the way I work. And this is why the source code is ballooned out to probably 10,000 lines rather than maybe 5,000 doing it the proper way. I just got to remember what my... This is always the hard bit about when you do recording of your work process, is that everybody has their different work processes. And if it works for you, it's fantastic. As long as your end product fits the requirements, how you get there within reason is can be subject to a lot of questions. So for a lot of people, myself included, for many years I just simply shut the door and wait until the product is finished, and you go, there you go, and everyone's happy. But if you start going through the intimate details of how you went about it, then because everybody does things differently, they sort of take it ends up interesting. Yeah, now I'm trying to think. So it is PDF favorites. Okay. It's also much slower doing it this way because my stack in my head of the variables that I'm using and all the things I'm doing, it keeps getting blown out by the fact that I'm talking. I'm not criticizing people for the fact that I'm being here and talking. It's just, this is why it seems to be rather cumbersome. That's what I'm saying anyway. That's my excuse. Shitstorms hitting Perth. I did see the news about that. I hope it doesn't blow away too many things. Just sold 2010 MacBook. Oh god, 300. Is that one that's going to have a GPU failure tomorrow? Okay, favorite. Nah. Well, I wonder if this will even compile. It's all good, Pernoff. Sorry, I'm just yapping away. Really, it's fine. I mean, there's so many things that I've changed because of the work that we've done on Open Board View. Yeah, I'm very appreciative of that. Oh, look, warnings everywhere. Yep. No, board view PD. Oh, yeah, right. Okay, that makes sense. B12. Gotta get our B12. The one thing I don't like about the way the object-oriented programming and everything works is that you start depending or falling back too much on global variable type behavior. I mean, it works with an object, but eventually your object has a bad habit of growing so big it almost becomes effectively a global. I mean, this thing really needs to be broken up, but I'm not game to break it up because it's just, so intertwined. It was fun enough separating the files. What am I after? Dialogue. That's what I was after. See you later, Mark. Hey, Joshua Taylor, welcome. A bit of a different sort of stream for you to be jumping in on. I'm somewhat more cantankerous in these ones. Invalid conversion, well, of course, because that's the wrong type because I changed it on the fly. Or is it 2193? Hey, Slider 68. Yeah, so 2193. Okay, let's go to preferences. What? Oh, wrong one. Alright, Pino, thanks for dropping in. I'll see you next time. I'll see you on Discord. Ah, there we go. This is what I'm after. Stealing from myself. Funnily enough, I find C definitely a very natural language. C++ is a little harder for me to sort of get my head around. What am I doing here? Wrong. This doesn't really matter. We'll leave error checking for later. So, thanks for the info on the quick stuff from you and took my partner and most likely be doing... Oh, good. How can you code without music? Yeah, I'll be honest and say I do actually like coding with music, but... Oh, it almost compiled. Because during the day I'm always listening out to what's going on around the house. We have a lot of activity going on. It's very difficult for me to feel confident that everything's going to be okay outside when I wear the headphones, because I've got to wear headphones so I can actually hear it properly. Without headphones, music just sounds all mushy to me because of my hearing issues. So as soon as I put the headphones on, I'm basically deaf to the world, and that's a bit of a concern to me. My anxiety flares up a lot. I've got to monitor the cats and things like that. So yeah, that's basically why. Yeah, I was lucky with those nozzles. I just added them to the cart when I was at Union Repair, and all good. When I when I do get the chance to listen to music, it's usually something classical or Celtic or Enya or that sort of stuff. The less I can hear the lyrics in terms of, the less my brain latches onto the lyrics, the better. If I start listening to the words, and it throws me out. So I generally listen to anything in foreign languages and classic kind of sort of thing. Usually. I'll listen to a lot of different things. Let's see, what's my next error? PDF have not declared in scope. Of course it wasn't, because it doesn't exist there. Right. But let's build my tags. Just set up live cams in your rooms. Well, I actually do have multiple live cams already. So I don't know if this is going to show up. There you go. So this is all the live cams outside. It's not enough though, because when you're focusing on your code, you can't keep looking over at your screens. Let's see. He has a wall of monitors surveying history. Let's see. The kittens are going well. They're actually starting to outgrow the house, the room they're in. I mean, there is 5 of them plus the mother. The mother's pelvis is finally, looks like it's healed quite well. It'll be the 5th week on Monday. Time's been dragging on, but yeah, she got lucky. Considering she was kicked or thrown or whatever happened to her, I'm very glad she made it over. It's been a lot of hard work. Mostly my wife's been doing the management of all that, and I'm very thankful for that, because I've obviously got to deal with all this. But it's had its ups and downs. The hard thing now is we've got to find homes for all. That is going to be difficult. Right, why don't... What's going on here? PDF. No, you don't. I've missed something obvious here. That's what it's supposed to be. At the bottom of the stack. Yeah, tiny, yeah, just a little bit of a distance there is a problem. Let's see. Well, I'm not thinking straight. How do I not have... this is unacceptable. Would MV add... For some reason I didn't have this function to handle just me sending the object to it. Weird. This is actually kind of backwards to what it should be. The way it probably should be constructed is that this function here should be the one that has all the content in it, and then this one here should just simply create an intermediate object and push it in. Anyway, it'll work. The Magician's Cat Shelter, yeah, that's a nice idea, I like that. So build. Yeah, MV pair is not being declared because it doesn't have capital A in it. Oops. It's been a long time since I've done assembly. I think the last time I did assembly was for Atmel AT Tiny 10 microcontrollers. But on PCs, yeah, it's been a long time since I've done that. I think the last time was probably, I was doing something on a 386SX, and I need to squeeze out something. But these days, yeah, I mean, the compilers are so good. You waste your time doing anything. More often than not, you get far greater gains if you change your entire algorithm or the way you structure the program, rather than trying to fine-tune actual assembly code routines. Like, it's basically, the difference is you can try and make a very fast assembly bubble sort, or you can change your algorithm to a quick sort, and then even a Java quick sort, actually that's not fair. Yeah, basically an interpreted quicksort will still outpace a bubble sort in assembly. So more often than not, the best gains you can get are from algorithm changes or structural changes in your data. It's still going to be fun digging down in the assembly, but it's not for me. I'll leave that to other people who know what they're doing with that. Let's see. Cracky. I should have had this done by now. Oh, I think it's gonna go. Is it gonna go? Is it gonna go? Come on, come on, come on, come on. Yes, it compiled. Which means it's probably now gonna crash. So cancel, close this one, quit. And the reason why it's going to crash is because it doesn't know. I don't even have a way to use that dialog yet. Alright. PDF favorite dialog. Now we have to find a way to launch this. So info pane. Pardon me. What OS is this? This is Linux. It's Ubuntu. I think we're at 18.04 at the moment. It's running FlexDB. FlexDB. Is it? I've forgotten what. Fluxbox, that's it. Yeah, Fluxbox window manager. It is not a desktop manager, it's just a window manager. Show true. How's Lewis's request to the fault button going? Oh, yeah. Well, it's going about as good as my request to Lewis for a fairly sizable lump of money. Like, when he wants to give me that, I'll give him my vault button. Oh, it's TCRS in here. Hello, TCRS. And Joshua Fitzpatrick, of course. Who else we got in here? Audio Origami. That's an interesting name. Right. If you're wondering how this, with ImGUI, how this sort of all works, is this here will create a selectable item on the screen. And then if you click it, or hover on it, or if you act on it, it will then return true, and it will do the actions that you've set in here. So what happens is every time you generate a new frame, it goes through all this code over and over, and so that's where your performance penalty sort of comes in, because basically everything has to be regenerated on the fly. But it does make for sort of very easy coding, but it does mess with your head at times, because you have to create these sort of flags to determine whether you've just started or whether you're already in there, or things like that. So there's trade-offs, but I do like it. It's cross-portable, cross-platform. It's not very large. It is fairly quick. It works with SDL2 and OpenGL, so I've got no real complaints about it. It's a little clunky, but then that probably appeals to my sense of the old Unix days. But you can bling it up if you want. But most of the time, when it comes to industrial packages like this, I don't see the point. Alright, let's see if we can get our... Let's add a favorite. And we are not launching, and I know why. Because of the two-state system that I got to use. Okay, we'll yank that line, and then we're going to steal something. There we go. And we're going to jam it in here. This is one of the two-step things I'm talking about. Oh, whoops. So you have to set the flag, and then after it's gone through the checking what you've done, it will then go along and launch you to open the actual pop-up, which I have now forgotten. PDF, and you got to get this name right. So it is Fable, right? Oh, that's going to make some people cringe. Sorry folks, I put the U in so many of my stuff because I'm British. Are you going to support Vulkan as well? I don't know. I've seen it popping up and all that, but that's really going to be more perhaps to do with SDL2 and the OpenGL. It's not really something that gets handled in this layer. Okay, add favorite. Why didn't you? Come on, man. Man it. Yeah, something's happened because it's, yeah. Control C. I'm not clearing something. debugging. Hey, Rob Brown. Switch between console and open apps. Don't know that one. Someone can't spell standard error. 2188. 2188. Go. Look at cap locks? No. And same for 35004s. Should have known it didn't change its highlight color. Come on, come on, come on. Yeah, work this time. Well, the flag's been set, but it's not opening the dialog. And it's hijacking everything. What have I missed? Oh. That should not do anything, but I'm doing it anyway. Oh, I know why. Sorry. Excuse my... it never gets called to even build a structure. I've got to put it into this list here of things. So what happens is it goes through here and it creates all the, or tries to create all the dialogues, depending on the flags. And because we weren't doing that, it was setting the flag, but there was nothing to actually respond to it. For Lewis's fine file, you should just print a shipping label and send it to him. Yeah. Or actually, the shipping label should send to me, and then deduct his bank account. Although that would never happen. The guy is vastly superior in his... Oh, come on. Ah, there we go. So, first favorite. This will probably crash. Yep. I can predict it. Why did you crash? So add it. Let's see if it crashes, or whereabouts it crashes. I don't really believe in Data Inspector in call it, putting checkpoints and things like that and running the code within a IDE or anything like that. It's just as quick for me to dump a few standard output, standard error lines. Add a favorite, foobar, add. Wow, it didn't even get started. That doesn't make sense. We can get rid of this one. What is that? 2187. Yep, C++. Do not ask me which year version standard it is, because I will not know. I do not know those sort of pedantic details. It's just not something I do. Crash again. Okay, so we're pressing, so we're probably trying to push a string into an integer or something like that. And we are. Because the title is, the page rather, is an integer. So what was happening is, because this was an integer, but we were trying to treat it as a string, it took that integer value as a memory address, in this case, whatever it was, 24. And so I tried to access it, it wasn't permitted, and if I'd looked at my compile, where are you? You're going to complain in here. Here we go. Warning, format %s expects type char, but it has a type int. This is where being a sloppy coder is not good, because there are so many of these warnings coming up, and it's partly the compiler's fault too in a way. I'll explain that. You simply stop looking at them. Unless they're red, you just stop looking at them. You can change that by making it become an error for all warnings become errors. You can do that, but then your development pace basically grinds to a halt. What was I going to say? Complaining to the compiler. Oh yeah, there are certain... the compiler can be very pedantic about things, and you can end up with a lot of warning messages even for normally fine code practices. So you start to get into the bad habit of, you see all these warnings coming up and you just sort of go, yeah, whatever, you're just a warning, it doesn't matter, I've seen you 1,000 times before. But what you'd miss out on is these sort of things where the new warnings pop up and you overlook it. So yeah, this is why I say, don't be a coder like me. Thanks, Pianov. I knew you'd know one way or another. Alright. Add favorite. 3. Add. Okay, we didn't crash. That's a start. But that window should have closed. Pianov, what level are we going to have to add Vulkan? Is it just going to be another rendering engine that we use? Or is it going to be a complete rip-up? Okay, I think I can now get rid of a lot of this trash because it's distracting me. I'd be very surprised if Apple drops OpenGL. But then again, they have done crazy things, so I guess I shouldn't be surprised. Okay, I don't need this. I'll just leave that commented for now. Alright, for some reason I don't seem to have... Well, that'd be nice if we have a real auto detect function, because that is something that keeps coming up quite a bit, where people will try to launch ABV or FB Flexboard View, and yeah, just like doesn't run, and then we've got to get them to do that, select the renderer manually, and that's a bit of a consistent theme that we're getting. So if we can get automated launch or renderer selector, that would be quite nice. But would that just be with macOS, or is that going to also be Windows? Well, I don't imagine we're going to see it on Windows, though, are we? I was going to ask you about that the other day, because I thought, well, if in the startup code, where is that? Let's see, B15. Where's our renderers? There we go. No, that's not him. So I always wondered if, like, we can cascade through those, or I don't know enough about that section. Tony, do you think you will add a time tracker to FlexBV? Probably not, at least not initially. The job items and jobs do get time stamped, but I wouldn't call it a time tracker as such. But they do have a time stamp on them. What else am I after? Now I've got distracted again because I was too interested in what Pianov was saying, because I know it's something that keeps coming up in my support questions. I'm not sure why my PDF favorites didn't come up. It should have. But then again, that's probably what every programmer says. That should have worked. Damn it. Let's go have a look at the database directly and see what it's got in it. Oh, we do have it in there. So it's, yeah, it is storing the data. Did I spell something wrong? It's definitely loading the database because the other things that are coming up with it. Alright, let's waste a whole bunch of CPU cycles. Ha! It worked. So what are we on? We're on page 12 right now. And we click there and it sends us to page 3. Alright, so that's working. I'm just not sure why. We don't want to be calling this every time we go around. We only want to call that once. And that's when we load the database file. You can check it out here. Oh, good. I'm going to click on that now. Oh, geez. You really did add some work into there. Oh. Alright, I'm going to have to leave that for later. This is good. I mean, it's like, I like it when we get changes to the code that are actually useful changes. Speaking of which, for those who are watching, since I do have the commercial Flex board view, I am now going to start putting bounties up for people who can, initially at the moment, file formats, open board view, we want more file formats, so I'm going to put bounties on getting them done. So there's a couple of low-hanging fruit right now. If you want the money, then go in there, get them done. I think it was 100 US I'm offering, because there are other packages out there which are decoding formats that Open Board View is not decoding at the moment. So I think, if we want to maintain relevance, then it's important we get them done. So if we can get some more file formats, that's really one of the big things that we need in Open Board View is more file formats being imported. The user interfaces and things like that, that's fairly, there are always improvements we can make, but for the moment that's fairly sort of stable. But doing the file formats, I'd say, is one of the biggest things that we need done. Hey Paul, good to see you. Hopefully your back isn't giving you too much drama. Now I need to clean up this trash. One of the things I wanted to do was I actually wanted to be able to be on a page, so like page 18, and then have it so that when I add a favorite, it would already be in there. So we'll get that done next. Let's see. And the way we can do that is when we add a favorite, we will request now this is going to be fun. It's going to be fun because I need to at some point wait for it to get the page. what this does is it sends a request to the PDF viewer and says, tell me statistics about what's going on. And in the PDF viewer, I have it so that it responds back. At the moment, all it does is give me the page number. But I've got to make sure I get the page number before I launch the viewer. Let's see what happens. Otherwise, we've got a race condition in a way. It's not really a race condition. It's similar. Tomex C++, according to Pianov, it's standard 11. Let's see. No. Where do I do that? There we go. PDF current page. And so that we don't set it twice. Okay. Well, fair enough. I mean, at the moment we're not really running quite. I mean, okay, it's a pain in the support. So you know, I'm happy to sort of like help you get that done. Because I think it will sort of like just make that first step of launching OBV and FPV that little bit easier. And yeah, but yeah, I mean, I'll sort of send something over for you for that. Because it certainly helps me. Did I build that already? I don't think I did, no. Let's put that away so open. Yeah, I would have thought OpenGL3 would work everywhere, but I am getting a few people running it on machines that it just doesn't seem to. I don't know what it is. It's not integrated graphics chips because I'm running this on a 3420 and it's perfectly fine. Okay, PDF favorites. Okay. Oops. Okay, so let's jump to, say, page 12. Add a favorite. And there we go. It's picked up page 12. Cool. Okay. Add. What do you crash now? Oh, that's right. I'm not closing. I don't really like the buttons being stacked on top of each other like they were. I didn't see that bug report turn off. I'll find it later though. Let's see, why didn't that get saved? So page 10, add a favorite. Yeah, see, there we go. We run into the problem with the timing there. The reason why there's this, I just call it a dead drop interface between the PDF viewer and OpenBoard View, is because the PDF viewer is licensed under the AGPL, and OpenBoard View is basically the source code. They're not compatible, the licenses, so you can't integrate this PDF viewer into the system, and you can't do an API interfacing, as far as I understand, legally. I don't know the specifics on the legalities. All I know is that they are fine with us doing, or fine with me doing the dead drop interface, because it's simply, the board view just writes a note, leaves it on the floor, and the PDF viewer picks it up, and then they do the same to each other. But there is often a time delay between the reactions, so trying to do things like getting the PDF viewer to respond to your request and get back to you with an answer fast enough is probably something I'm going to have to work on. It's not really a performance issue of the software or anything. It's just simply a case of you can't determine if your OS has put that to sleep at the time that you wanted or whatever. So I'm gonna maybe have to have a semaphore somewhere, a semaphore file or a token file that they sort of have in addition to the dead drop file. I don't know, I'll work it out. But that is why at the moment, when I first launched that, it came up with page 0 rather than page 10, which is what it should have come up with. And this needs to regenerate. It's not regenerating. So why? I think I know why. People are still running at 945. Oh my goodness. Yeah, okay. Now that was pretty, that's pretty old. What made you choose this particular PDF library? Mainly, it was written in C. It's been around for donkey's years. It's one of the better PDF engines in terms of being pedantic and rendering. It was very accessible. Like getting into the code and actually adding things into it that I need to, like the dead drop interface and everything else I've added. It was approachable, and it's quite lightweight. I suppose lightweight's relative because the binary is about 33 megs, whereas OpenBoard View and FlexBoard View are about 1.82 megs. Let's see what else. Yeah, like there's the Google, PDFim, and just trying to get that thing to build is a nightmare. The other thing with this library is it is, as I said, it's just C, so it's cross-compatible. I keep saying cross-compatible. You can cross-compile it very easily on macOS, Windows, and Linux. There's no dramas with that. And I was able to modify it so that it now uses the SDL2 library rather than the, what was it using before? The GLUT library. And the only reason I changed to SDL from GLUT was because, for whatever reason on macOS, you cannot get access to detecting the scroll on the touchpad. So if you try to you do your 2-finger scroll up, scroll down, it doesn't expose that to you anywhere in the GLUT data. So I had to throw that out and redo it in SDL2, which did expose it to me. So it was a bit of a weird thing. Good. Another thing I'm going to click on, and thanks, Spinoff. I've put that on my... Okay. Yeah, interprocess communication using files has its limitations. Using yeah, that's it. Trying to find something that works cross-platform and doesn't violate the license issues. That was always the fun part. I mean, it's good enough for now, and I'll find a way around it. Usually when I do the dead drop pickup, I wait a fair bit. So like, where is it? Yeah, I have a countdown here, so I might have to just simply increase that or something like that. I'm not sure. I'll experiment with it. Where does it say the file in the data of the board? The file that you want for every board file that you have, you'll notice there is another file that's got SQLite 3 affixed to the end of it. That is the database file where all the annotations and any of the board specific information is kept. And in FlexBoard View, it's also got which PDF file is associated with it, and now it's going to have the PDF favorites in it. Let's see, what's that thing? Oh yeah, the reason why I'm only getting one. Let's see, did I do it as a unique? I bet I did. Stop scrolling, you idiot. Just go up. NV pairs. That's why it drops it. Because I made the name unique. But I changed the way I've done things on that. So you can have multiple and it just simply comes out as a vector instead. That's why. Which means I have to... Can I alter the table and remove the unique flag? Flag 3, alter table to remove unique. I don't believe I can. Crud. Which means I have to rebuild that file. So what I'm looking at is this. Now, well, the annotations are board side because, well, for a start, in Open Board View, and there already is annotations in Open Board View, it's just no one ever uses them, even I don't use them. See, there's no PDF associated with the board, so the annotations are to do with the board file. I may in the future be able to do a PDF-based annotations. I'm not quite sure how I would go about that, because trying to do things like that in the PDF structure is a little more complex. Anyway, I'm trying to see if I can alter the table to remove the unique constraint. Nope. 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 Looks like I'm going to have to do this the hard way. Oh, that's going to suck. That means all my annotations are going to be dropped. Oh well. Oh no, they won't. They're in a different table. When I edit lines on the PDF board view, when I pick them up, is there a way I can edit the PDF text where it doesn't interfere with the board view clicking and searching? No, I don't, unless you can find a way to put it on a, say, non-editable layer or non-selectable layer, which I don't think it can. I don't know enough about the PDF structures. You could try to do it as an image, render them as images, because what happens with PDF files, for the most part, they're just simply mosaics of letters that happen to look like words and sentences paragraphs. With the code I have for when you right click on something in the PDF and it searches for it in the board view, what it's doing is it will go along and it will take your mouse position on the PDF viewer. It will look for the letter that's there, and then it will go through the list of all the other letters spanning outwards, trying to find everything before or contained between two delimiters such as spaces or line break or something like that. And that's basically how it works with searching in the PDF viewer. But yeah, I don't know how you could actually have an annotation over it and not. If the annotation is text-based, then it will clash with that search algorithm. So you could try render it as an image instead. I don't know how that will work, but okay, I'm going to have to drop this table. Drop table MV pairs. Now the nice thing is it should rebuild that as soon as I start it up again. What did I do with my... Where did I put my... Where did my terminal window go? Not you. Not you. Not you. Not you. Nope, not you either. How did I manage to close that window? Great. Fantastic. Oh well. Alright, so we've got the first one there. Let's try another one. It still didn't do it. Alright, debugging code time. We're gonna be naughty. I shouldn't really do it like that, but I have. Yeah, it seems like only one got generate put in there. That's weird. Famous words. That's weird. So it creates it, but it doesn't seem to keep it. Yep, most certainly does not. Schema. Oh, okay. For some reason that recreated as unique. I must have started something without recompiling. Alright, now we've gotten page 70, page 49. Okay, now we're working. It was an overlap. I must have started an old version of the program before I compiled the new one, and it rebuilt the table, but with the unique constraint still in it. That's almost as much fun as going insane, wondering why your code won't compile with your new changes, and then about 2 hours later you realise that you're changing the wrong file. It's always fun. Alright. So let's look at board 3 at 3. The font's too big. Tiny, thank you. Alright, now we've got to clean it up so it doesn't look like a complete dog's breakfast, as they say. I don't think I need these debugging lines anymore. I'll just comment them out until I'm perfectly happy. But okay, alright. Okay, we don't need that. We're now on the visual aesthetic stage. Modified a PDF of the voltage readings. I'll send you to check it out. Okay, cool. Well, you know my email address or whatever, so go right ahead. Alright, so we got PDF favorites. I probably should make that a button, not a selectable. And I need to find a way of deleting these now. Does not mess with the searching or clicking, adding text layers. Oh, so you found a way to add text layers? Cool. At least I think that's what you're saying. So where are the power rails on this thing? Functional test points. Here we go. Page 62. Good. Now, right, change that to a button, and we need to find a way of getting rid of these. I could probably add a delete button off the side and see if that works. In Fury, no. Give same line. If oh, my fingers are getting out of control. I used to have the IBM M keyboard, but it was starting to get a little tatty, so I thought I'd buy a new one. So I got one of these KBC ones, and they're good. They're a little bit light on the touch. I keep bottoming out too much. But I'm a bit of a hammerer when it comes to typing. Some of that comes from just, when I first started typing, it was on IBM Selectrics and mechanical typewriters. And so the IBM keyboards were a good match to that. And these ones with their slightly lower resistance, just sort of like I bottom out a bit much, and I seem to not quite hit the keys on dead on sometimes, and I end up with a bunch of odd characters. Yes. Small button. And of course half the time it's just my brain going out of control, crashing into walls. It's Alpha's a crypt. Did fill the PDF password on schematic. You have to unlock it. I have a way you can actually remove the lock on the PDFs and permanently remove it. So basically the trick is you unlock the PDF through a normal PDF viewer, and then you print it to a new PDF. But I can do that from the command line as a batch process, and it strips out the password. Because I ran into that when I was doing it on this before, and yeah, exactly that. You're like, I can't put the password in, so I can make it maybe that I'll put a password in here, but it'd be easier if we just strip it out. Now let's see, delete. Right, I can delete this one. But if I want to delete it, I need to know its index. Hey, Cami32, it's not too bad. It's just it looks confusing, but overall, you work it out eventually. It's kind of like doing board repair. It looks overwhelming, but you get used to it. And once you start to break it down into small sections, that's the thing. And it's the same with schematics, and it's the same with designing electronics. You start out with your little modules, and then you stick them together, and before you know it, you've got this horrendous, convoluted looking thing, but it's actually not that bad. It's easier when you start out in small pieces. It's like eating an elephant. You gotta do it a little piece at a time. Not that you'd eat an elephant. Well, you do sometimes, anyway. Small. What am I doing? Oh, that's right. Board database start. What do I got? MV remove. The trick is I don't know what parameters it wants. It wants the ID. Okay. This is the fun thing, you forget your own code. Sometimes you go back to your old code and you go, oh, that was nice, I actually did something good there. Okay, so the code we want is F9. That's simple. Build it. Run it. Okay, we don't want that one. Damn. What? Okay, even though the button's there, it seems like the... Time to get back to poolside. Okay, Tony, enjoy the pool. Okay, what's happening here is the selectable widget takes up the whole horizontal area. So even though I've got this smaller button in there, it doesn't get to respond. The selectable takes the signal. So this actually never gets to execute, even though it exists there. I wonder if I can change the width of this. Or maybe just change the way... Alright. Delete that. And what we'll do is we'll put the button in front of the selectable. And instead of saying delete, we'll just put a big fat X there. Probably easier if I just simply did it in the dialog. Ah, who cares? Build. This is typically how it goes. You get your basic functionality up and running, and then you work down from that. Okay, so now it's doing more like what we'd expect. So let's see that worked. Good. Interesting, that one didn't. Okay, last item didn't work. Why? It's quite probably something in my code. Okay, delete. I need to change I need to change this SQL 3 stuff to be more variable binding stuff. I'll show you what I mean by that. Where is it? Yeah, so rather than building up the string and putting in the values yourself manually, you just do it this way, where you bind the variables into the statement. It saves you running into a lot of issues with trying to, well, a common one is trying to escape single quotes or special characters and things like that. If you try to do that yourself manually, it just ends up a disaster, and there's always a corner case that you miss, whereas this new way is the better way. Anyway, I could do that later. For now, we're just doing the hack job way. It isn't so bad on this one because it's just an integer we're putting in there, but if it was a string, it would be more difficult. Let's see what's going on with that. Hey, BNC, my goodness, Chris, been a while. Was your kid 1 year old by now? When are you coming back to YouTube? I mean, you got 2 shops now, haven't you? You must be a busy fellow, real busy. Don't know how you do it, to be honest. It's good to see you, though. PDF favorites. Let's see what happens when we try to get rid of this one. Nothing. You're not activating at all. Why aren't you activating? Six months? Really? You know, I was kidding about the 1 year thing, but I didn't realize it was already 6 months. Man. And what have you've probably aged 5 years. Oh, g'day, hi. I guess everybody's waking up in America. Yeah, I need sleep. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning here. I'm slouching back now. Time to get into cruise mode. No wonder my eyes are killing me. I forgot to wear my glasses. Oh, well. Okay, I don't know why this button's not working. Yeah, that's got me stumped. Let's create another button. I'll call this one edit. And the trouble is, if I edit, then I'm going to need the ID. Okay, NV. So I can't remember my variables from 2 hours ago. So disappointing. So what's the point of this coding, Mr. Nothing at all. No, this is just supposed to be a quick feature where if you've got a favorite page on your PDF viewer, then you can add it in, like we've already added in this one here. So like page 70 in this case. Wait, that's not page 7. Yes, it is. Hang on, what's going on here? Have I loaded up the wrong file? Oh, it's page 62. You need to get out of here. Page 70 works, right? Yeah. Anyway, so you can create a list of favorite pages in your PDF and then just click on them and jump to that, because I've noticed a few times in Lewis's streams that he'll be digging around for a particular page, like the power rails in particular, or maybe the power sequences, and he's got a page up and down trying to find it. Just figure this would make his life a bit easier, and probably mine. My life easier because then I won't have to hear Lewis screaming every day about what he doesn't like. Yeah. One of these days I need to Easter egg his board view software. Linux distro is just Ubuntu 18.04, and it's got Fluxbox board view, Fluxbox window manager. I'm not a big fan of the great big desktop manager systems that just kill everything. To give you an idea, this is a G3420 processor, no graphics card, nothing. It's not overclocked. It's got about 12 gigs of RAM in it, and it's doing full HD encoding, no troubles at all. I think I'm running at about 47% CPU. So it's a very lightweight setup, but it works well. To be fair, encoding this sort of desktop is pretty easy. Fill it with peppers, yeah. Yeah, it was pretty bad there for a bit. I'd basically wake up every morning and Lewis would be streaming and I'd be hearing my name being cursed a lot. Alright, what am I trying to do here? Oh, that's what I want to add editing functionality. LXDE, yeah, that's probably like the next. Oh wait, sorry, I was thinking it's XFCE then. Yeah, LXDE is another one. I've been using like BusyBox, Fluxbox, Blackbox for a long time. I mean, Fluxbox is basically the most recent one. I don't think I'll be changing. The only thing I wish I could have is a automated tiling feature, so that I could take what you see here, press a button, and it just automatically spaces things out for me. A tiling window manager, TWM, something like that. But they're too constrictive for me. I just want to be able to have the ability to press a button and have it sort things, but not constrain me to them. It would be your name and Landrex and the same. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. You should add some code to a version specifically for Lewis pops up reinfect. Yeah, believe me, I'm thinking of it, Chris. I'm going to come up with something. I think the hard thing is actually getting Lewis to update software. Anyway, probably shouldn't talk about him too much. The poor guy. He has a hard life. He's got nearly 500,000 people constantly on his back. Yeah, we've got to give him some concessions. Let's see. Come on. Okay, what I can do here is if there's already an ID code in the PDF favorite object, that means it's been loaded, or we can preload it to say that we want to update it. But if the ID code is, say, -1, then we know it's a new one and we are wanting to do an add. Let's bring that block in. Okay. So if we're not adding, then we're going to be updating, so we have to do the behavior slightly differently. I3 someday. Okay, I'll have a look at that one day. So many things to do. But I'm sitting here thinking, do you really want to bother updating a PDF favorite? You don't really. You just want to be able to delete it and recreate it. So I think this is actually a pointless exercise. Because it's such a trivial thing to delete and create one. We just need to find a way to find out why that delete isn't working. I suppose one thing I could do is make it also a small button rather than a selectable. But the trouble is, if you do that, then the width of it, I'll see if I can push it to make it go out to the edge. Push item width -1. I don't know if this is going to work, but I guess we'll try. See, we've got a few more Unix people than I anticipated. Okay, we'll add another one. Oh, and I keep going to change that to a button. $76 add. Okay. Alright, so they're working, but there, see, the width is not, so it looks kind of messy. I mean, I know everything looks a bit messy right now, but let's see, and that doesn't solve that problem either. In fact, oh, that one worked. That's weird. The first one works, but the rest don't. Why? I know why. Okay. The buttons weren't unique. And change that to selectable again. this little bit of code here at the end, it lets you, anything after these double hash, it if MGUI sees it, it doesn't actually include it in the text it puts up on for that button. The same goes for many other things that MGUI does. But you use it so that you can put a unique identifier into your particular button or select or whatever you're doing there. So what was happening before is that it was seeing 3 or 4 buttons all with the same identifier, and that's why the other ones wouldn't respond. That's the theory. I'm pretty sure it is what was going on. End for end. No, I'm still in the house. I probably won't be in the new place until probably Christmas, and that's if everything goes according to plan. Great. Now I don't even have a jobs. That's because it doesn't yet exist. And I gotta stop doing this. So I may as well generate it when it's loaded. Along with all the rest of them that I've got. Okay. I can't take a coffee break now. It's 2:30 in the morning. But I will probably have some breakfast cereal. Okay, I keep forgetting to turn that into a button. To add. Okay. Add favorite. Okay, now it should actually work, and it does. Fantastic. Alright, so that was the fault. Let's change this to a button. Hey, Paul Edwards. Been a better day? Well, today was a bit frustrating. So I'm trying to get a loan for this house, the house that I want. And I've said to the bank, said, I've got everything to go, let's go. And they said, yeah, okay, well, let's get an appointment. And we had a public holiday yesterday. And it's the worst kind of public holiday because in this case, it was on a Tuesday. And due to the way the postage happens, it means we then didn't get anything until today, which is Wednesday, or yesterday technically. So everything has been pushed back, and I'm just getting really frustrated with the time delays because each day really does matter. Because after we buy the place, assuming we even get it, I have to build a full cat enclosure, which will be about a 18 by 12 meter fenced off area, and then we have to build the living area inside the shed, and that's got to be air conditioned because there is no way you want to be in a tin shed in somewhere in this place without air conditioning, even though it has got insulation and even though we have got trees behind us for a bit of shade. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. It needs to be done as quickly as we can get to it. And with the bank delaying, 1 day turns into 3 days, turns into a week, turns into a month, and before you know it, you got yourself some real strife on your hand. And this button does not stand out distinctly enough for me. I mean, it's kind of okay, but yeah, it behaves better at least anyway. Let's try and use it. What? ISL 6.2. It's this. This is page 50. I really don't need to add a thing for that because I can just, what is this, U7100, yeah. PDF, here we go, yeah, anyway. But, the power rails page, things like that. Anyway, well, that's pretty much covers what we need to cover. We've got it done, only took probably 3 times longer than it normally would. Yeah, so that's my programming process. It's sort of hack, mess, hack. And then you get to the end of it and you start going back and refining things so that certain people don't yell at you about not using strings. Hi, Pianoff. Yeah. Maybe add a confirm to delete feature. Yeah, so that's another thing, confirm that sort of thing. All those sort of like little subtleties, they take up a better part of your day if you're not careful. But at least tonight we managed to get the functionality working, so that's what was really mattered. So I think given that now it's 2:30, I need to go get some breakfast cereal so that I can then go and sleep with a full tummy. I'll probably watch some Netflix, or maybe I'll just see if there's been any other live streams while I've been yappering away. At least the network was up this morning. Nothing simple in life. Yeah, that's right. I mean, you had that big crash out and everything, so weird how it all came back up at the same time too. So I'll have to check your email see if there was something else I was missing that I need to reply back to you about. Okay, Paul? Well. Anyway, so I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you all for sticking around for the better part of 2 hours. There you go. That's what it's like being a programmer. It normally goes a fair bit quicker than that. But, you add chatting into it. That's what you expect. So anyway, catch you all later. Take care.